Hello, fellow citizens of the internet. It's me, and today I am here with a new tier list. This time I am ranking the games in the beloved series called Pokemon. Now you might think that there is not much to rank here, because the Pokemon games are exactly the same from iteration to iteration, with a few minor changes. But you would be wrong, for they are as different as night and day, as seen in this visual depiction. Therefore, here is my tier list of main series Pokemon games. We will start with the classics, Red, Blue, and Pinball, also known as Yellow. Now many of these tier lists I have seen on the internet have placed these classics in B tier or below, but this is wrong. It is true that these games were buggier than a swarm of angry Beedrills, but that does not matter. Because you see, the Pokemon formula is pretty simple. You go out into the world as a 10-year-old child and encounter cute and lovable creatures and then enslave them and drive them to violence in turn-based combat. Over the last 30 years, this formula may have fallen out of favor compared to action games, but originally, it refined the genre, offering something that RPGs of the era simply could not. The combat was interesting and fun. The sprites were cool to look at. The variety of playable builds were overwhelming. These games were revolutionary. So these originals must get put near the very top of our tier list. Only Yellow had minor improvements over the other two versions, one of which was an unevolvable, constantly complaining starter. So we will move it slightly below them. Generation 2 joins its Generation 1 brethren near the top. These games contained everything innovative about the originals, but they were even more expensive, with fewer bugs. The first sign of real polish in this series. Crystal in particular came along with a better plot, animations for Pokemon sprites, a battle tower, and the most important change of all. More ice in the ice path. Then, along came Generation 3. By this point, everyone knew what Pokemon was and what it meant to do. The atmosphere in 3 was amazing, even replete with father-son bonding moments. Hoenn is a beautiful region with many cool areas. You even have a city of treehouses. Imagine everyone in your neighborhood living in a treehouse, the ultimate social distancing. Now some people and companies who shall not be named complain about the water in Gen 3. And true. There is so much water in Hoenn. If I wanted this much water, I would go turn off my Game Boy and take a swim in the Pacific. But to me, the water level is just fine. It is more that the water routes are very slow and boring. A lot of the pacing in this game is slow, and the Pokemon variety makes it feel even slower. And for these reasons, we must put Gen 3 slightly below Gen 2 despite numerous improvements and a difficulty rise. Around this time, the Generation 1 remakes also joined the crew. Unfortunately, they did not offer much in the way of aesthetic or mechanical innovation. Glorified bug fixes that cater to nostalgia are just not enough for them to escape the lower part of the tier list. Generation 4. Contentious opinions are coming with the breeze. Diamond and Pearl were extremely slow. The aesthetic style was bland, and if that were all there was to the generation, it would be a massive disappointment. But to the rescue of Generation 4 comes Platinum. And just like the PlayStation achievement of the same name, this installment was the epitome of accomplishment. The winter apparel, the new sleek, polished look with trainer and back animations, the additional gameplay elements, and the faster execution of the battles. Platinum was peak Pokemon. This is probably the biggest jump in a single generation, and Platinum takes its place at the top of the tier list for me. Heart Gold and Soul Silver came along at this time to profit from Platinum's excellence, moving many of its achievements to an equally beloved generation. However, I still believe that these remakes did not offer enough over the original games to earn a spot on the top of the list, even though they were based on a much better base game and had more additions than the Fire Red and Leaf Green entries. But the good news is come, for along comes Generation 5. The difficulty spikes, the plot grows thicker, and you have some of the most interesting characters in the entire series, such as Bianca. The fact that Black 2 and White 2 continued the story from White 1 and Black 1 as genuine sequels instead of minor expansions was fabulous. A first, and unfortunately a last in the Pokemon series. Many will disagree with me, but the innovation was striking. One of the most playable generations of Pokemon is Generation 5 today. But I am afraid that just like the sultry sound of my voice at the end of every video, all good things must come to an end. And Generation 6 is where the Pokemon begins to decline. Of course, this generation introduced a whole human generation to the concept of Pokemon, and for that we will appreciate it as we will appreciate all the generations of Pokemon. And there were some very cool things. There was Greninja, and Mega, and Pokemon in 3D, and the Fairy type. But the games were incredibly easy as Johto in Generation 2, but without the epic endgame factor and without the newly introduced polish. These games were so weak that there was not even a director's cut. But there was one good thing around this time period. Generation 3's remakes came along and were quite entertaining. They fixed some of the most boring and slowest of the water parts. And for that, and for the entertainment value that they provided on a generation which was almost there, we will say that they are the best of the remakes. Generation 7 and its remakes are some of the least liked in Pokemon. The region is promising. However, imagine that the world is suddenly very overweight because every gym on Earth has been erased. This is Alola. Besides the missing gym battles, which I can accept, the execution of Generation 7 was average and its remakes were slightly less average but still fairly average. The problem is not with the game itself so much as that we are at a point in Pokemon where turn-based combat with poor animations gets you less and less, especially because Pokemon is now 3D, and because it is 3D, there are higher expectations. A whole dimension of additional expectations. Unfortunately, Generation 7 did not deliver on those expectations. However, then came Generation 8, promising us a new open world on the Nintendo Switch. But did it deliver? Well, there is always pinball.